Hey guys, it's Katy at scrappinkaty.ctmh.com, and it is Tuesday, February 16th, which means that it is time for my share of the Love Your Stash Challenge from the Creative Design Team. Now, remember that each week we will be featuring something from your stash, and this week is Use a
So for
Kit.
this week's Creative Design Team Love Your Stash Challenge, it is all about stashing or using your stash of kits. And so I dug deep into all of my retired paper packets, kits, even back to when we had level 1 scrapbooking. And so I found these photos of my daughter. And then I found this kit that's called Tickled Pink. And so this paper packet did come with this little insert that basically walked you through making two two-page layouts, pardon me. And then it also came with a stamp set. Now, I do not have that stamp set any longer, but I am going to use one of these sketches. I believe it's going to be this one. I am going to make it into a one-page layout, so I will only be using this little pattern right here. And then I'm going to be using the paper that it comes with. Here is a look at the floral pattern paper. I just love it. I love all of it. But look at that shine and that glitter. I can't wait. Now, I don't even think this tells what year it is. Well, I could go back through all of my catalogs because, yes, I do save them all. And I could see which one. And I might do that before I actually hit publish. But I am just loving these papers. Now, it does come, or it did come with some die cuts. Now, this was before Close to My Heart actually had thin cuts. So it did come with die cuts, and you just stamped that stamp set onto these die cuts, and then you were done. It also came with some little frames, so I may use some of those. And then I am going to couple it with the wood grain paper. Now, our wood grain paper is still available. It's in the core catalog, so it'll actually be available until August. And the reason I did that was because of this photo right here. Don't those florals just look so good against that wood grain paper? So I'm going to find a wood grain paper that'll match. I have also pulled out these little heartfelt shapes. And this is going way back as well. They came in different ones. We even had a wood something, had like deer and stuff like that. So I'm probably going to pull some of these green ones. That's olive. And then I've also pulled out some ribbon rounds. And so I've got the blush. And then I've got this jar of a whole bunch of ribbon rounds in the green colors as well. And then I did have some old school chipboard. And these were part of the Irresistible line. So you just take sponge and you add color to the letters or to these little brackets. And then that pattern that you're seeing there, it has that Irresistible. And so that pattern stays white. So I'm anxious to use these. I probably will only use the alphabet for my title. But that is the stashing or the busting of my kit stash that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to speed this up and let's see what I can make with this Tickled Pink collection.
So I'm going to start off by taking those felt shapes and just punch out some of the ones that I think will go with this collection. Now, I do have a few leaves, the floral patterns, and then I went ahead and did a butterfly and that dragonfly just to see if those would match. Now for the cutting diagram, remember that I'm only going to be doing one of the layouts. So I'm just kind of referring back to the layout I'm going to use as well as the cutting dimensions and trying to decide which pattern and which dimensions I want to use. So I will leave those dimensions down below. So if you want to recreate this layout, you can. And then I've decided to pull in the mix-in from the January-February catalog and use, it's not quite the same color as the felt shapes, but it definitely goes with the green that's in the florals and the stripes. So I'm liking how this is looking. I did debate on using the other side of the wood pattern paper, but overall I really like that slatted. Now, if you are a follower of mine, you know that I love using the photo placeholders that Close to My Heart makers are able to purchase. It just makes it really easy, and I do not have to waste a full page or a full sheet of White Daisy cardstock. Now, it does require that I trim my photos down just a tad, but I don't mind doing that. It's super convenient. So I've got two 3x3 photos and a 4x6. Now, keep in mind that those are trimmed just a little bit shorter. And then I am just going to start adhering these papers down. Now, before I adhere the striped pattern paper, I saw some flamingo shimmer trim off to the side of my craft space. I was like, you know what? That would look so cute with not only the sparkle of this pattern paper, but even though the pinks in this pattern paper is not or are not flamingo, the flamingo really looks good. So I decided to use that. And then you saw me edge distress with some avocado ink that mix in. I just thought it needed something. And off camera, I end up ink distressing the top of that pattern or that striped pattern paper as well. So right here, I am pulling out all those irresistible shapes, trying to find some center for those centers for those flowers, and then also any round shape that would resemble the floral stamp set that I do not have that went with Tickled Pink. And so I've pulled those, and then I'm going to pull some ink. So I've got lemonade, flamingo, and then of course that avocado. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up some lemonade. Now these are going to be the centers of the flowers, those felt shapes that I've pulled. And then there's just this little tab that's a polka dot tab. I'm going to go ahead and ink it up in lemonade ink as well. And then I'm going to pull out my flamingo ink and a sponge dauber. Now there's this little label piece. I'm really not sure if I'm going to use it yet, but I'm going to go ahead and ink it up. And then that round piece, the Irresistibles. And I love it because, like I said, it does resemble those floral pieces that I do not have the stamp set of. Now, off camera, I did go ahead and sponge my title, which is Cute in Curls. And then I'm going to start just laying down and adhering these photos. Now, I am using foam sheets for two of the photos, that bottom little 3x3 square, and then, of course, that 4x6. So I'm going to glue that down. I'm just going to use tape adhesive and just liquid adhesive in the corners so it doesn't warp my paper that much. And then just make sure it's straight using my T-ruler. And then I'm going to add some liquid glass to the back of that round piece that I ended up cutting in half. So once I get the liquid glass on these little round floral centers, I will start gluing the felt florals down. Now, the weird thing about felt is I haven't used it in so long, I really wasn't sure how I was going to adhere it. But then I just kind of started playing with it. Now, I am adding foam tape to the pieces, to the petals that are off my photo. Now, keep in mind, remember, I did add a foam sheet behind that photo. And then I am going to adhere that center. That liquid glass just wasn't working with the felt. So I used some glue dots. And then I am going to do the same with this little floral piece underneath that 3x3 photo. So 3D foam tape for the pieces that are off the photo, and then a glue dot to adhere that floral center. So now I'm going to start laying out my title. Now I do want to apologize in advance. This took me a while to decide. What I originally had in my mind just didn't work because the title was just so long. A part of me wanted to separate the cute and then in curls, and then part of me wanted it just all grouped together. So I end up doing it at the bottom, which I end up loving. It's going to allow me to use journaling strips up at the top to journal, and then it just keeps together all of those irresistible alphabet at the bottom as well. So I am just using my Versamat and my T ruler. It makes it really easy to line my titles up. You guys have probably seen me do this in past videos, and it works the same with chipboard as well. So I'm just applying liquid glass to the back of these letters and pushing down on them slightly. I want to make sure that they're straight, especially that top, the cute, because I can't get my T ruler up there. But I just pressed them down and then made sure they were straight and then really pressed them down. Now I did decide that I wanted that other piece of that round underneath that floral. And then I get to looking and I really need another, what I thought would be a felt flower up at the top to kind of bring that visual triangle. But then I just couldn't, I wasn't happy with anything. So I pulled out that green jar or that jar of green ribbon and I ended up tying a bow and then I'm going to attach it right there. And I think that does the trick as far as the visual triangle where those greens are concerned. So here is where usually Katy messes things up in grand fashion. I have pulled out some pearls and I've decided to do little dots everywhere. I will go ahead and spoiler alert, I didn't mess anything up this time, and I think it is just the perfect addition to this layout. Now you'll be able to see it more here in the still shots. And then I'm going to add another of those irresistible circles inked up in that flamingo. I just thought the flamingo irresistibles needed a triangle as well. So here are the still shots. I love all of that shimmer and then the addition of those liquid pearls. And again, I'm just so pleased that some of my new products meshed so well with this very old Tickled Pink kit from Close to My Heart. Don't forget, tomorrow is Carrie's Day from Miss Carrie's Creation, where she'll show you a kit from her stash. And don't forget to check back every day during the month of February, where we will show you how to fall in love with your stash again. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I always love seeing you here.